This individual did make a mistake, but there are a lot more embarrassing scenarios than that, such as missing an open goal because of the snow conditions. It is true that this individual made a mistake. The events shown in this movie are among the most unusual and terrible that have ever taken place. To start things off, Andy Carroll not only scored one goal, but he also scored two goals that were completely absurd. My apologies for the fact that neither of them was granted permission. Number 29, on the other hand, is much more frustrating than the previous one. What exactly is going on here? He just had one shot, yet he managed to strike the woodwork 3 times out of every 5 times. However, the referee did not make any move to stop him from moving forward. When a member of your own team acts against you, it is even more frustrating than when they work against you. Please accept my apologies, mate, but that is just unlucky timing. On the other hand, the attempt that this fan made to take a selfie was not timed very well either. Man, all she wanted was a picture. That's all she asked. On the other hand, Ronaldo did not subject her to the same kind of physical abuse that he did to this youngster. Not only did he cause the youngster to sustain bruises on his hand, but he also managed to break the phone of the unlucky young woman. Furthermore, the mother of the child expressed her annoyance that she was experiencing on Facebook. The fact that a professional football player would be able to assault a youngster in such a manner is something that really blows my mind. The individuals in question are members of the criminal underworld. Indeed, he is a parent to his own son. What thoughts would go through his mind if something similar were to happen to his child? The fortunate thing is that Ronaldo immediately realized that he had made a big mistake, apologized for it, and even issued an invitation to the youngster to attend a match at Old Trafford. On the other hand, the bruises that these fans have produced are nothing in comparison to the shattered bones that they have caused. Their joy, however, was abruptly cut short, much to their utter dismay. That has to have been a really horrible experience. The story of Alexander Nubel, on the other hand, is even more upsetting than the previous explanation, simply due to the fact that, yep, this guy experienced a lot of undesirable luck. 2 individuals did not have a pleasant time in the location. On the other hand, things took an immediate turn for the better when he was able to sign with Bayern Munich not long after that event occurred. On top of that, after hearing the news, you would probably assume that he would perform even better, wouldn't you? Not at all, if I may be right. At Bayern, he was only permitted to take part in 1 game before being moved to Monaco to warm up on the bench. It is legitimate to ponder why this was the case. As an illustration, Wout Vase is an individual who has made mistakes that are much more terrible than the ones described above. On the other hand, the net is not as simple to locate for all of the gamers, not an easy task at all. On the other hand, even the most skilled players in the world have moments when they struggle to find the back of the net. I find it hard to imagine that he was able to miss that target from a distance of 6 yards. This ensuing sad event, on the other hand, was a violation of the rules of physics in a way. Oh my gosh, I am completely at a loss for words to adequately express it. In addition, I am unable to offer an explanation for the awful transfer history that Hakim has occurred. This is because what seemed to be a concluded agreement for the Moroccan left-footed star turned out to be a nightmare. The reason for this is that the agreement was a disaster. Even though he is playing for Chelsea, Hakim has had a difficult season with performance. On account of the fact that he had only played in the Premier League for a total of 18 matches throughout the current season, it seemed as though he would be leaving the club. As a consequence of this, he swiftly accepted the contract and passed his medical check when Paris Saint-Germain approached him on the day that the deadline for transfers was drawing near. At that time, the only thing that left was a formal notification concerning the matter. However, the outcome did not turn out to be that way. It is very clear that this referee is deficient in a number of their cognitive attributes. He must have been oblivious to that thing. A yellow card was even given to Ronaldo as a consequence of his protest. On the other hand, in contrast to Messi, he did not receive a red card during his first game for his country. I can't believe that guy only managed to stay alive for 40 seconds. Going beyond that, even I am able to persevere through it. In spite of this, John Terry will almost definitely be spending the rest of the night on the field because he was unable to take advantage of this opportunity. Even after all that, Chelsea was still unable to qualify for the Champions League in the year 2008. On the other hand, that is not even the most bizarre mistake that can be discovered in this movie whatsoever. The individual who has experienced the greatest amount of good fortune is Harry Maguire. What on earth could have caused him to fail to notice that? Just like you, I am absolutely baffled as to how the hell this came to be. Putting it another way, Tooth was the one who was responsible for dragging the ball beyond the goal line. If I had to guess, I would say that players occasionally make incorrect assessments of the situation. I find it difficult to believe that he was taken out of the game due to an injury that he sustained as a result of it. In spite of this, his career did not come to an end as a result of the damage he sustained. For instance, in the case of David Bust. In light of the fact that it is completely incomprehensible, that has got to be one of the most frightening injuries in the history of football. I am sorry to say that I am unable to demonstrate anything farther than that. Due to the fact that the situation was so critical, the goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel, was left with no other option but to abandon the field. As a result of 22 surgical operations and a significant amount of time spent in physical therapy. After what seemed like an eternity, Bust was able to walk once more. On the other hand, it is a great disappointment that he was never able to retrieve the football. Taking this into consideration, we have already established ourselves as one of the top 3. Let's begin by discussing Neymar's first World Cup competition so we can get things rolling. In his entire life, my man had never been in better shape than he was right now. Prior to the passage of a year, he had recently relocated to Barcelona, where he had scored a total of 36 goals during his first year there. Consequently, the Brazilian team was one of the most well-liked teams to go on and win the cup. They finished in first place. It turned out that this was the situation. To begin, everything got off to a wonderful start. In the match between Brazil and Croatia, which Brazil won by a score of 3-1, Neymar scored twice. The Cameroon team was defeated by a score of 2 goals once more. In addition to that, he was the one who ultimately scored the crucial penalty against Chile. In the aftermath of that, everything proceeded in the worst way. Immediately following that, Brazil made it to the quarterfinals, where they faced off against Colombia. In addition, despite the fact that they won the game by a score of 2-1, they did not accept defeat. When Neymar went down in the 88th minute of the contest, he suffered a terrible ankle injury. He was unable to continue playing further. The consequence of this was that Brazil was compelled to battle against Germany without their most talented player. The result of the circumstance is something that each of us is aware of. My experience was the most horrifying thing I've ever heard of. You should realize that it is unfortunate for us, just as it is for the national team. How I wish that he hadn't been harmed on the way out of the building. It's nothing more than a stroke of misfortune. Messi's narrative, on the other hand, is significantly more stunning. During the 2014 World Cup, it was the match that would decide the champion. There will be a matchup between Germany and Argentina. Leo made the decision to seize the opportunity that presented itself to finally win his country the first World Cup trophy since Maradona, and he did so. However, in that specific year, such a thing was not going to happen. Leo's fantasy was shattered in large part because Mario Götze's single-handed action in the 113th minute was the one that brought about the outcome. All of us are aware of the events that took place in the year 2022, which is a fortunate circumstance. It is with a great sense of relief that we have arrived to the most unpleasant period of our overall life. Oh my goodness, the Tooth Fairy will undoubtedly be happy with those two. There is no question about that. In the case that you choose to click on this video that is presently being shown on the screen, I will be overjoyed.